Hello and welcome to Love Talk. Today we will see what happens when you make a decision based on being very emotionally unbalanced. So you got upset with your partner or something's not right and you act very swiftly. Usually that doesn't tend to end well. In the second half we have a scenario of a couple who's, the mother-in-law of the lady wants to butt into the relationship. How's that going to end?
Well, in other words, disaster.
So if you've ever struggled with one of these two, don't go anywhere because I'm sure that the program today is going to help you. Also, Elena and I, a few days ago, we went out for breakfast. And here's an idea, what you can do on a first, on a second, on a 1000th date. It doesn't matter. It's always good for you to get to know each other better. Yeah. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, we're here in a chilly autumn's morning, but beautiful morning, very, very nice, and we're in a very, very nice place having a breakfast to catch up with little things. And usually in relationships you get so busy and you tend to want to do big things, and usually little things like this help to talk about things that perhaps you need to sort out, and it can be a good thing, right?
And it's also a good idea for a date. You don't necessarily need to go out on a Friday night to get to know someone. It's actually a bit distracting, I think. So why not go for breakfast to a nice, quiet, cozy place such as this one, and have time to talk. I think it's a good idea.
So here's a good example of what you can do with your partner or take someone on a date. Actually, like Elena was saying, because it's so quiet, you can actually talk about things. So we hope that you take example from this and do the same. And we'll see you later. Welcome back. Now, before we go into the mother-in-law issue, I'm sure that's going to be a hot topic.
Oh, yeah.
We have Lisa here in the studio with us this evening. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Lisa, I was talking with Lenny earlier, and when a person is, let's call it emotionally unstable. They usually make some bad choices, some very poor choices, right? Because you're not in a frame of mind to make a decision for yourself, and you've experienced that, right? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Just a few thousand times. I have, especially relationship-wise. From a young age, started dating and things. Decided to get married young.
You decided to get married?
Well,
it wasn't quite like that.
No, I got married because I didn't want to lose that person, and there was a lot of pressure from his family.
How old were you at the time?
19, and it was my first relationship, so you know.
So it was a long-term relationship. You didn't want to lose the person.
No.
You were pressurized to marry him.
I was given an ultimatum: you get married or you're going to lose him. That was it.
Right.
So I said, I'll get married. I'll marry him.
And how did that work out for you?
Well, there were doubts. There were lots of doubts. There were issues still within the relationship, but I didn't want to lose him. I had several problems with my family because they couldn't understand why I'd taken the decision all of a sudden to get married. So it was problems everywhere, really. But I was so desperate to have that person with me that I decided to ignore all the other factors that were really like warning signs to say, look, this is not the right decision. And that's something when you're emotionally unstable, you tend to oversee those things that are really warning signs to say, look, actually take a step back. And
so you went ahead, got married, right? Even though you weren't 100% sure of what you were going to do. How did that relationship work out?
Within a year and a half, 2 years, we were living together basically as enemies. The relationship just broke down, communication broke down, the interference with the mother-in-law, as you said.
You have a mother-in-law story as well, right?
I have a mother-in-law story.
Wow.
Just things like every weekend we would need to spend time with his parents, and it got to a point and I said, look, I had enough now. Just want some time with us. And then she'd be calling, asking if he's eaten, you know, things which were just ridiculous. So
she would pick up the phone and say, listen, has my little boy eaten?
Yes, although he's 21, yes.
Oh my goodness.
So it was just that pressure. And then the funny thing is, when we actually separated, she was calling saying, why? I don't understand. You should know, but...
Now, your story is interesting because when a marriage breaks down, that's a time where, you know, whether you're a man or a woman, somehow that it's a very emotionally charged time, and you become. Did you cry a lot? Were you crying a lot about?
I did cry a lot. I think I tried to find other people to fill that gap, because I didn't want to be by myself. So actually, even when we were living together, I would be online, talking to different people, just to fill that void. I remember him even being in the house,
Really?
and I was there talking to people online. And I think he was so busy doing his things, which probably he shouldn't have been doing, and I was busy with mine. It's like we just let each other get on with it.
Okay, so would you say that you weren't really in love with him, but just, you know, you were with him for the sake of having someone?
No,
Do
I
you
think
this
I
was-
loved him, but I think it got to a point that communication and everything got so bad that we started to hate each other. And it's like
that's when you started chatting with other people.
yes,
and,
because they would tell me the things that I wanted to hear.
Yeah, and actually men are very good at that.
especially online, right?
They're very good at telling you what you want to hear. Now, you made that decision to talk to other people. Would you say you were ready to do something like that, or you should have done?
No, I was definitely unstable. I kind of suppressed all the sadness and everything from the marriage and said, okay, this one's interested, so it's going to be fine. So I tended to ignore a lot of the issues that I should have dealt with there. And
What do you think were the main issues for you to be looking for someone who would love you, who would say the things you want to hear? What was the main issue behind that?
my insecurities, probably things from my childhood, broken home, so, you know, insecurities with my dad not being present, things like that. But
so you were an insecure person?
I was a very insecure person. I was a very jealous person as well. In that relationship, I was very jealous. So probably I suffocated him in some ways as well, which made it hard for him.
Plus the mother-in-law, and then
Plus
that's
the
it.
mother-in-law.
But you know what we hear a lot, James, is many young girls, especially, they marry because they want to move out. I'm not saying it was your situation, because you say you didn't like him, but that happens a lot. They want to move out because the environment at home is really bad, the dad is an alcoholic or whatever, you know, all sorts of problems. Or maybe no one loves them, no one looks after them, single parents.
And it's okay making a decision to move out because you've reached that age, or you have a career now, you can afford living by yourself, you're independent.
But many.
Yeah, but making that decision for the wrong reasons, because you're emotionally angry at something, and that was you, right? You were looking for so-called love with other people now because you were angry, or you were upset, or you were, I don't know, what were the emotions?
As well. I was angry because this is what I wanted. I'd put all my eggs in one basket. I wanted this marriage to work. I didn't want to go through what I'd seen in my family. I said, look, this is my first boyfriend and this is who I want, and that's it. So I had, you know, an idea that I wanted to stay with this person, but just not the way that it went then.
But what happened next?
So then from the online dating, I decided to go abroad and things like that. Went into a relationship with someone that's much older than me, thinking, you know what, maybe this is better. Probably, I think those insecurities, things from my dad, he was more like a father figure rather than a partner.
He made you feel safe, no?
Yeah, he did. But then I treated him really bad and decided to cut everything off, came back to the UK and met someone else. So I really hurt him, actually, and...
Okay. I'm not even going to ask you.
Yeah, I did.
But the thing is, for all this time that you you know, you had this marriage and then you met someone else, and these were, the truth is you were never really ready to make any of those decisions. Is that true?
No. And I think as I went along, my decision making was based on how my feelings and that person at the time. So after this relationship, the second one, the third one, the person I realized was so domineering that I lost all contact with my family. It was an abusive relationship as well, things like that. And after then, it's like I had no say in anything. So anything that I did, it was because just to please him, but I wasn't happy.
So you see, one of your boyfriends spotted how insecure you were and took advantage.
Yes.
You know, and that's how abuse begins.
Yeah, and
most of the cases.
And going back to what we were saying about you being able to make a decision with a sound mind and so on, had you been with a sound mind, knowing what you wanted, you wouldn't have allowed that to happen to you.
No, definitely not.
Right? But today, I mean, have you changed? Are you different now? Do you see things differently?
Now.
How is your mind frame today?
Completely different. You know, one thing is, when you're looking for love, if you don't know what you're looking for, you will accept anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized. I was accepting anything. And then I also thought, one thing that I see a lot in relationships, and even for myself, as women, we think we can help men. So even if they're the most abusive partner, you think, no, you know, they need my help. It's not. It's not going to change. Because that man, once the abuse has started and we accept that abuse, he's already in power. He's already in power. He's already in control of that relationship. So today, it's very different. You know, I am secure about myself, and that's what I needed. I needed time just to focus on myself. I needed time to go really deep down inside and say, you know what, I do have these insecurities. Where have they come from? How do I deal with them? And many times
you dealt with insecurities before you realize all these things.
Yeah, I had to. I had to start to face actually who I was.
Because some people might be watching us now and say, okay, but what do I do? How did you go about understanding what your problem was? Because many people, they don't notice, or they don't want to see sometimes, because it's quite ugly truth about yourself, that you feel so low that you just go with anyone, or you know, and then end up in a very bad situation. So it's interesting that you say that, you know, how that period of time was for you.
No one is ever, what I realized, no one is ever going to fill those voids. No one is ever going to fill those insecurities just by being in a relationship with them. It's down to the person to take. I needed time away.
So it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Tell me something. Do you have some funny stories about mother-in-laws? I mean, your first mother-in-law, some funny stories.
I remember.
But okay, let's do this, because the second half is going to be about the mother-in-law. So we're going to have you on a little bit in the second half for you to tell us about a little 1 or 2 episodes about the mother-in-law situation, because you overcame that by, you know, moving on with your life. But you see mother-in-laws differently now, or not?
No, now it's completely different. Now I wouldn't put up with it. So.
All right, so we're going to go into a little break. When we come back, the second half is dedicated to all mother-in-laws out there. And actually, if you're not a mother-in-law, but you're married, and you have one, or you're going to have one in the future for sure, then don't go anywhere, because I'm sure that this second half is going to help you. Welcome back. Now, mother-in-laws get very, very bad press, right? When you mention mother-in-law, it's like you're talking about a monster sometimes. How's your mother-in-law, Lena?
My mother, did you hear that? My mother-in-law is a lovely, lovely lady. I love her to bits.
And that's because she's not listening now.
No, she is really, really nice. You know, we know each other's place, and we work well together.
Good. Lisa, you have some mother-in-law stories, right? How bad was it?
It was so bad that my mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law would change the bed sheets.
Really? That's bad.
Oh my goodness.
That's bad, right? Can you imagine? No, let's not imagine too much, but it's bad. I would come back and the sheets would be changed, and I would say to my husband, come on, please speak to your mum. I can change the bed sheets.
So, but that means she had access to your house.
Yeah, we would stay a lot. We would stay so much with her that they kept the room for her son.
Mistake number 2. First one, stay too much around. And then number 2 is changing the bed sheets. These are no-nos.
And also,
What
mother,
else?
she would, like I said before, she would call and see if her son had eaten.
That's a
Third
no-no
one,
as well.
that is a never. What
Never
else?
do that. Never.
Would your ex-husband compare your food to hers and say, look, you don't...
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But I learned actually to cook some things as his mum did, so that was fine.
So did you feel like you were compared to her?
Yes, and also she made me feel like I was not good enough. She made it clear. She was constantly
Oh.
checking up. So mothers-in-laws, you know, they need to trust that the woman that their son has chosen is going to look
I
after
wouldn't
them.
even say trust. You need to let go.
Yeah. He flew the nest.
Yeah.
Right?
He's not married to you. He's
Yeah.
married
No,
to
she had him in a net, a
person.
cage.
Yeah.
Didn't fly anywhere.
So the thing is, of course, ideally, you would want a mother-in-law to be supportive, to be there to play a part in the family, of course, but to let you live your life. If you're a mother-in-law, you have to let your son, to let your daughter move on. And if you are in a relationship and your mother-in-law is wanting to take over, then you need to set some boundaries. Not in a bad way, attacking the mother-in-law, but there has to be some boundaries, right?
I think it's even important to say that mother-in-laws, they have a very, very important role in their son's life, if he's married, even. Because, for example, I remember in one instance, because we're not just bad, we're not bad mouthing, like mother-in-laws. No. But, for example, I remember when we were married, we were married for not very long, maybe a few months. And we had like an argument or something, very silly, childish. And then, I don't know if you spoke to your mother or if your mother noticed, I don't know, I can't remember, but she gave you very good advice.
I don't
You
even
probably don't remember,
that. I
'cause
have
it's not
no
very-
clue what that is about, but
But
okay.
she did say to you, because you told me a while after, James, look after your wife. Don't do what your dad did to me. Remember?
No.
It's not ringing a bell.
You know, that
But-
reminds me. Sorry, let me not interrupt you. You receive good advice, and one thing that my ex-mother-in-law would give bad advice, and she would cover up what he did. So he would go to a strip club. I remember the day before we got married, he went to a strip club, and I called, "Where
Bad
is
move.
he? Where is he?" I don't know, he's just out. So another thing a mother-in-law shouldn't do is cover up the bad deeds of her son, because it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, how do you have a relationship when, even as a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law, I couldn't trust her.
Listen, I tell you even more. If you are mother-in-law and you want to be like this with your daughter-in-law, be good friends. Listen to each other. Don't meddle in each other's business, but listen, talk. And then, becoming good friends, you will understand the need, and then from a distance, an appropriate distance, you can help, give good advice, but not,
I think the difference
force
is when they
yourself
want to
in.
compete, isn't it? That's the problem, when the mother-in-law wants to compete with the wife, and then the wife wants to compete with the mother-in-law.
So we'd like to thank Lisa for coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we're going to see now a scenario of what happens when the mother-in-law tries to take over the relationship. Let's see what's happening.
What?
You know what, so I just feel like we're just going over it and over it and over it. It's exactly the same again. As soon as I walked in the door, I could see, she looked straight at me,
I think it's mostly in your head, I really do.
You think it's in my head?
Yeah, it doesn't hate you or anything. I don't know why you always have this problem every time we go over there.
Because you're not there when we're having the conversations. That's the thing, she waits until you've gone.
Oh,
And then
please.
she starts.
So
You
you're saying
don't
she's
know.
maliciously setting you up, is she? I go away and she's having this conversation
Well,
with you.
it just seems a little bit strange that she says different things to me when you're not in the room. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to be...
I don't know. It sounds a bit far-fetched. You're saying that she's having... What's she saying? Give me an example.
It's just been building up and up and up ever since we started going out with each other. It was little things, at first, which was fine. I thought she's just being a protective mum. I know she loves you.
Yeah, she does love me.
But,
yeah. But
it's just getting to a point now where it's just getting a little bit too much. She rings you every day, sometimes twice a day. What have you got to talk about?
You know, she's lonely, and you know, I'm a son. So, what do you expect me to do? Not answer her calls? Not talk to her? Of course I'm going to talk to her.
Yeah, but why do you have to bring every little bit of our relationship? Why do you have to talk to her about it all the time?
I
Why don't
tell
you
her
talk
everything
to me
about the
first?
relationship. I do talk to you.
I heard you the other day.
What do you? I'm not. Look, if she asks a question, I'm not going to lie to her, am I? Okay? She wants to know what's going on. I'll tell her what's going on. I've got nothing to hide. You know what I mean? She's my mum.
I know, but it just feels like it's getting a little bit too involved. It's not fair on me, is it? You don't understand because you don't have it. You don't see my point of view. But it's getting really difficult for me. I've tried to talk to you about it, but you just think I'm overreacting.
Okay.
I'm not. You put anyone else in my situation and they'd be a hell of a lot more angry than I am right now.
Okay, calm down, please. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to...
I don't know,
do I have a word with her? Should I have a chat
Well,
with her and make sure she doesn't put you in this situation every time I leave the room?
yeah, maybe you should actually.
Yeah?
Maybe you should talk to her about it and just let her know how I feel. I don't feel like it's my place to do it. Because if I say anything to her, she'll come straight back to you.
Okay. Have a chat with her.
Well, yeah, because...
Maybe we should do it together.
All right, fine. Fine.
Maybe, if you want. We've got lunch next week, so...
Okay.
Maybe we could bring it up then.
All right, well... Yeah, but just... make sure that we do, because I don't think you understand how much it gets to me and how much it upsets me. You just seem to write it off. Like, oh, she's just getting...
I don't write it off. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to deal with it. I speak to you and I speak to my mum, and you know, I deal with the situation. I just
think she takes it a bit
I feel like I'm in the middle a little bit here. Do you know what I mean? I've got you saying this to me, and then you know, and I speak to my mum, and you know, we have a conversation. I'm sorry, we just have a different relationship.
Yeah, I know that,
you know what I mean?
and I don't want to take you away from her, because I do understand that she's on her own, and I understand it's hard for you, but there are ways of doing it, and I just think she just gets too involved sometimes. I do. I'm sorry, but I do. It's not right. No one else has this problem. I talk to all my other friends, and they don't have... She just goes... It's just... I can't explain it. It's just these niggly little things that she says.
Yeah, but sometimes I find it hard to talk to you about certain things. And I think it's better that I get my issues out with her rather than maybe bring it with you all the time.
Why can't you talk to me?
Because you get wound up so easily, and sometimes it's hard to have the conversation.
How can you expect me not to get wound up? This has been going on for ages. This has been going on. It's not just like it's been a couple of months here and there. This has been going on for years.
Yeah. And it's maybe my habit, I don't know, but it makes it easier, and it's worked so far for this long, hasn't it?
No, it's not working. I'm sorry,
No?
but it's not working.
At all.
I can't take it anymore. Something's got to get sorted out, because I just don't think you get how much it's winding me up. I really, really don't.
Well, certainly one of the things that causes more damage to a relationship is family members trying to tell you what to do, how to run your marriage, to run your relationship, and that can be something which causes serious problems, and as you saw here, perhaps even separation. So even though family is important to have around you, and these are people that care about you, if you value your relationship, your marriage, it's important that there are boundaries. And the only person that can set these boundaries in your relationship is you, right? You need to be the one letting your family know what is okay and what is not okay. And perhaps one last thing to mention about not just mother-in-laws in general, I'm sure there are many good and great mother-in-laws, but family in general, is that you need to keep your problems between you and your partner just there. They don't need to go to anybody else's house. You don't need to talk to anyone about it, because you'll be exposing something that is very close to both of you to people that are not living in that relationship and that may be biased, defending you or your partner. So remember, family is important, but their involvement in your relationship should be very minimal, if any. Okay? We hope that you enjoyed tonight's program. Until next time, have a wonderful night.